शासनपति श्रवण भगवान महावीर स्वामी ने मारा भावपूर्वक वंदन। असीम उपकारी राष्ट्रसंत परम गुरुदेव आप श्रीना चरणों में मारा भावपूर्वक वंदन। सर्व रत्नादिक गुरु भगवंतों तथा महासती जी ने मारा भावपूर्वक वंदन। Since many days we all have been studying Shree Uttaradhyan Sutra, and we all have been designing our road to moksha. Yesterday, Param Gurudev explained to us the 9 tattvas, out of which he throwed light on the first 2, which is the Jeev tattva and the Ajeev tattva, the living and the non-living. Param Gurudev explained to us with a very beautiful example, a practical experiment, that if you imagine yourself in front of you as a statue, if you place a statue of your own self in front of you or a photograph, and you start contemplating on what is the difference between the statue or the photograph of your own self which is placed in front of you and who you are. The difference between who I am and who I am not is what is Bhed Gnan. Knowing the difference leads us closer to liberation. Knowing the difference and knowing the self-realization leads us closer to liberation. If you try this experiment, and now if you contemplate what is the difference between your own self, your own living physical existence, and the statue or the photograph which is placed in front of you. Once you contemplate, you will very easily realize the main difference is between the living and the non-living. The physical existence of who you are is because of the soul which is within us. And the non-living is because there is no Jeev Tattva in that statue. So now, slowly, contemplating further on this, Param Gurudev also guided us that this difference between the living and the non-living leads us to the right vision and ultimately leads us to the right belief. But if we don't know who we are and who we are not, the end result is wrong belief and wrong thinking. And so, also, Param Gurudev, when explained to us about Kanchanba, who survived for 102 long years, he explained to us that at the end, it is only the soul which is going to be with you. And so, one should always try to get rid of all the attachment, all the relations, all the comforts around us, and only analyze and contemplate that the soul within me is permanent, and only this is going to get forward. Example, the statue which was in front of you is the same. The body will become the same once the soul will leave your physical existence. So once the soul leaves this physical existence and moves on to the next birth, there will be no difference between the body and the statue which is going to be in front of you. So knowing this is the basic fundamental of Jainism. And not knowing this leads us to the vicious circle of birth and death, of birth and death, of birth and death. Moving further, Param Gurudev explained to us that as soon as we realize that we are not the body, we are not the physical existence, all our beliefs will start changing. Everything around us will become temporary, and slowly, very easily, one will be able to get rid of all the attachments. And this will lead us closely to moksha. And lastly, Param Gurudev also showered light on a few questions. The first being, how does our body easily realize, or how does our physical existence easily realize about our soul? And the answer was knowledge. Gnan or knowledge is our basic attribute, is the basic attribute of our soul. So as soon as we start gaining the right knowledge, we will easily become closer to our soul. And this will ultimately lead us to not binding our karma and leaving all our attachment in the temporariness of life. Once we lose all our attachments from this temporariness, we will now start thinking about what is going to be permanent with us. And Jeev and Ajeev. The difference between the Jeev and Ajeev Tattva leads us closely to the path of moksha. Further, the last question on which Param Gurudev guided us was, does the words or the words which we speak have life or they don't? And Param Gurudev explained to us that the words which we speak have no life. But once they travel, they still don't have life. And this is what is the Ajeev Tattva. The body which utters all these words has no life. But the physical existence gains life only when the soul enters the body. So ultimately, the road to liberation is only and only realizing the truth that the body and the soul are two different identities. But the mother of all our mistakes, the mother of all our errors, is the wrong identity in which we believe.